Hello and welcome everyone. We are ready to get started with today's webinar, so I'm going to hand it over to the CEO of Community Action Partnership, Denise Harlow, to get us started. Denise?
Great, thank you, Cashin. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of today's webinar. We here at the partnership are really trying to find creative ways to make sure we get into the hands of local agencies the best possible resources on a variety of issues. And a lot of folks know us for board governance, finance, HR training, but we really want to make sure our focus is also on high-quality, evidence-based practices to alleviate poverty. Today's webinar is in partnership with the National Fatherhood Initiative. My colleague here, Melissa Stewart, is the Vice President of Marketing at the National Fatherhood Initiative, and she's going to be talking about a number of resources, practical resources, that agencies can implement and work with both their customers coming in the door, creating new programs to supplement or complement pieces that are going on in Head Start, home visiting, reentry programs, all sorts of different programs that community action agencies and other nonprofit and public organizations operate every day. We know a number of community action agencies, we know there are 1,000 across the country, but a number of CAP agencies do run fatherhood programs. And we have a couple of CAP agencies joining us here today on the webinar, which we're just thrilled about. Our network really likes to hear from peer to peer. Melissa and I can have to be up here and talk about this stuff all day long, but whether it's a CAP agency, another nonprofit, another public entity talking about how they use resources, it becomes a little less practical. So we're also going to be joined by Edith Rivera and David Bryant from Community Action of Central Texas, as well as David Case from the Mid-Iowa Community Action organization. So again, thank you for the three of you from local CAP agencies joining us here today. You will truly bring a practicality to today's presentation that I know the attendees will be thrilled to hear. As Cashin mentioned, we are recording today's webinar. The recording, the slides, everything will be posted up on our website, communityactionpartnership.com. And if you do have questions, make sure to put them in the Q&A window, and we will answer those questions as we go through here today. So thank you for being on today. I hope that you find the resources helpful. And thank you, Melissa, and I'm going to turn the ball over to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'd like to begin by introducing myself. Again, my name is Melissa Stewart. I'm the Vice President of Marketing with National Fatherhood Initiative, and I've been with NFI, as we call it, for a little over 5 years. And I oversee our corporate marketing and our Father Source Resource Center, which we'll be talking a lot about today. Excuse me. Prior to being an employee at NFI, I had worked with a marketing consulting firm called Market Bridge here in the DC area, and I worked on a number of accounts, everything from Humana to SAP to Microsoft. And there was a part of me that enjoyed that work, but there was also a part of me that said there's really something more I can be doing with my career that would make an impact on society and make an impact on families. So I went looking for that. And here I am at National Fatherhood Initiative. A little bit more about myself. I am married. I am an only child. And my parents actually have been married for over 51 years, so that is such a great success story that I can share with folks. And I'm blessed and honored to still have my father with me, who I'm very close with and who I very much respect and appreciate his impact on my life. I want that for every child, and hopefully you will feel that and see that as we go through today's presentation about my passion for fathers being involved in their children's lives. I do love animals, and I might have 5 cats and a dog. And I also love kitchen and bath design in my free time, so that's just a little bit about me. But I am very passionate, like I mentioned, about the work that we do at NFI, and it's very important that we all continue to remember that when we want to engage families, we need to think about engaging the entire family, so that's both mom and dad. So with today's webinar, I'd like to walk through the agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about National Fatherhood Initiative so that you can learn more about who we are and what we have to offer. We are also going to talk about the importance of involved fathers and some of the research about that so that we understand the basis that we're working from. Then we'll move on to how NFI takes action and helps you take action with programs and resources to engage fathers in the work that you do. After that, I'll be followed by 2 agency spotlights, as Denise mentioned earlier. And then we'll cover quickly how you can get started in your agency with father engagement, and of course we will have closing questions. But as Cashin mentioned, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to enter those into the chat window. Now, I will say that it's important to stay till the end of today's webinar because I will share a special offer with you that's only for webinar participants today. It's not in the PowerPoint slides, so it'll be important for you to stay with us in order to learn about that. So National Fatherhood Initiative, we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan, and non-sectarian organization. We were founded in 1994 to begin a society-wide movement to renew fatherhood in America. And I'm very proud to be part of such a wonderful organization. There is an image on the slide that you'll see that shows our full-time staff members. Our president is Christopher Brown, and I'm also there on the image you'll see there. Another one of our key leadership team members is Eric Visseri, and he works with a lot of organizations and state and local agencies on their large fatherhood initiatives around the country. You'll also see Jacqueline Hannon. She's our resource center manager, and a couple of other supporting staff that we really appreciate the work that we do. But as you can see, we're a small nonprofit, and so we can really identify with the work that you're doing to change lives in your communities, and we all share the same passion that you have. Now, we do stand on the basis that underlying many of society's most challenging and pressing issues is a lack of father involvement in their children's lives. And to that end, I wanted to share our mission and our vision with you. Our mission is to transform organizations and communities by equipping them to intentionally and proactively engage fathers in their children's lives. And our vision, the end goal that we have with that we want you to be a part of and partner with us in, is for every child to grow up with an involved, responsible, and committed father. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why that's important. But before we do, I wanted to share a little bit about the different types of organizations across the nation that we partner with. We work with state and county agencies, many, many direct service providers, and one-on-one group-based programs for fathers. And really, we are your partner for creating sustainable fatherhood programs and initiatives in your organization and in your community. And that's what we want to be for you. We're here to answer any questions you might have about how to get started, about how to do something big or how to do something small for fathers. So keep that in mind. Now let's move on to a little more about the importance of involved fathers. Now, you might be familiar with National Fatherhood Initiative because a lot of people know us related to our Father Facts publication. We recently published our 7th edition of Father Facts, and it is the leading publication that provides you with research on the effects of father absence on children and the benefits of father involvement. Now, many of the leaders, just like yourselves, use this publication to not only educate their communities on the benefits of father involvement, but also to make the case, if you need to, that your organization, that your community action agency should be doing more to engage fathers. And whether that's in Head Start or your home visiting programs, this research really helps give you that basis for understanding why it's important to add that to your offering. Now, I'll pull out a couple of important facts from Father Fact 7. Research does continue to show that there is a father absence crisis in America. It does continue, but together with partners like yourselves, we can work to reduce and hopefully end that father absence crisis. We do know that fathers are irreplaceable, and they are an essential ingredient to child well-being. So it's important that we remember the fathers when we're providing our services to our customers and our families that we work with. As many of you may know, and as the research shows, father absence is strongly linked to poverty, teen pregnancy, juvenile delinquencies, substance abuse, suicide, behavioral issues, and a host of other issues that we don't want to see children face as they're growing up or even as they become adults. But we do know, and the research shows, that when children have an involved and responsible and committed father, they have a host of better and pro-socioeconomic and academic functioning that they are able to acquire to grow up to lead happier and healthier lives. So we want to see, our vision and our mission is to see every child growing up with that involved father. Now, one thing that's important to remember, however, is that many of our nation's organizations do remain mother-centric in their offerings and their services. And so that's why we're here, to be that voice for fatherhood and be that voice to come alongside you and encourage you to do something for fathers. It doesn't have to be big, it can be small, but we want you to do something, and we'll talk more about how you can do that. Now, I wanted to share with you one of our most popular free resources on our website. It's called our Father Absence Infographic, and I included information on this slide about where you can download this on our website. But this infographic gives a really quick snapshot of the father absence crisis in America. And it gives you some of those statistics that I just previously mentioned to you that are from our Father Fact 7 publication. It's easy to share, it's easy to email and share on your website, share on your social media pages. Please feel free to go access this infographic and use it as you see fit. You're welcome to print it out and share it with the customers and families that you serve. We really want it to be a good resource for you to help you communicate the impact of father absence in America. The next couple slides are some examples of some additional free resources we offer that we just call our shareable Father Fact 7 images. And you'll see that there are a number of images here that are facts that have been pulled from Father Fact 7. We've seen many different types of organizations use these in so many creative ways, and I really encourage you to go access these images from our website and begin using them in your work. I've even seen some organizations print them out and give them to the families and the customers that they serve. And it's really just an quick, impactful way to get some of this data and some of this information out to the folks that you're working with. So as we see on this slide, some of the facts about states with the highest number of children living in absent homes. On the following slide, you'll see that there are some facts about new fathers being involved in caring for their child in the first days of the child's life, as well as the fathers being involved in the mother of the child's life while she's pregnant. So we have a variety of data points that you can see here that may fit the work that you're doing. On the following slide, we have the facts around higher quality father-daughter relationships are a protective factor against engagement in risky sexual behaviors, and also about adolescents who are growing up in single mother and single father families are at a higher risk for risky behaviors, victimization, and mental distress. And so these, again, are free shareable images that we want to equip you with so that you can use these to share the impact of father involvement in your community. So I hope you'll go check those out. So moving on, I'd like to cover how NFI takes action with our programs and resources. So as I mentioned earlier, you really are a partner for us. We don't have a story to tell without partners like you. National Fatherhood Initiative is what's considered a capacity building organization. We don't offer direct services. We equip you to offer those services to your families. And as you may be familiar with, Margaret Mead is one of the most famous anthropologists the world has known. And this powerful quote that you see on the slide comes from a book she published in 1950 called Male and Female. She said, "The primary task of every civilization is to teach the young men to be fathers." And we think she was very wise in her advice. And I'd like to point out that she said that it is the primary task, not just one of the many tasks. So with that statement, I encourage you to continue to think about, as we go through this webinar, and question, what can you do more of? How can you engage fathers in your agency on a daily basis? So NFI helps you take action with those programs and resources that we offer, and here's the logic behind it. Children benefit from fathers receiving the tools and skills that they need to be involved fathers, and I'll repeat that. Children benefit from fathers receiving the tools and skills that they need to be involved fathers. And as I mentioned earlier, many of our nation's programs are a bit mother-centric. There are hundreds of organizations doing wonderful work with fathers, and I'm sure we have many on the call today, so we thank you for that. But we do want to make sure that organizations are providing something specific for fathers. Many times fathers kind of read parenting programs as something that's really intended for mothers. And so that's why research shows that fathers want and need resources and programs that are designed specifically for them. And that's what we're here to help you do. And the resources really need to address them in their role as a father. They really benefit from tools and knowledge and resources that help them understand the important role they play in their children's lives. And to that end, we provide you with those high-quality skill-building resources and programs which we're here to talk about today. So I'd like to go through a variety of the resources and programs that NFI has to offer, and then beyond that, we will hear from a couple of community action agencies who are already using some of those resources and how they're incorporating it into the programs that they offer. So NFI provides a number of ready-made and customized solutions to help you with your father engagement. And I really want you to think of this as sort of an a la carte menu. We are not trying to fit any kind of framework onto what you're doing. We're here to provide you and infuse your organization with what you need to engage fathers. So as I go through the next few slides where we'll be covering some of the printed resources that we offer, I want you to look at it from the lens of how could this fit into my agency? How could this fit into the way we serve our customers and our families? It could be something very small, like a brochure or a tip card. It could be a larger curriculum program like we'll hear about later. So just keep that in mind as we go through. NFI offers a variety of things from resources that are low intensity, brochures and tip cards, to workshop kits that help you deliver a couple of hours or a full day workshop for dads. So perhaps you have a once or twice a year event where you deliver a workshop. Or you may choose to use one of our higher intensity materials like our fatherhood programs where it's an 8 or 12-week curriculum program. We also offer for our higher intensity materials staff training. So if you're looking for assistance on how to actually run those programs, we do offer it. But the important thing to know is that everything we offer can be used directly out of the box. So there is no training required. We give you all of the instruction and information that you need in those curriculum kits to run that program right out of the box. So it's easy and efficient. We also provide free and fee-based technical assistance at any time that you have a question about how to better engage fathers at your organization, or perhaps you've acquired some of our resources and you're not quite sure what to do next with them. We're always here to answer questions you have. And then should you be looking to get some planning services or assistance with your strategy or your planning of your fatherhood program, we're here to help you with that too. So we have lots to offer. Let me start with just covering some of our low-intensity resources. So I mentioned earlier brochures, tip cards, pocket guides, and even posters. These are what we consider low-intensity resources. These are materials that you can easily engage fathers with no matter what sort of services you are providing them. Whether you have a waiting area where you have some brochures or tip cards or information that you provide with the customers that come into your facility, whether you are providing home visitation, or whether you're just seeing parents in passing for Head Start or what have you, the low-intensity resources are a really great option for that. It's a really simple, inexpensive, easy way to infuse father engagement into the work that you're doing. We have over 50 low-intensity resources that focus on a variety of different subjects. Our most recent and popular brochure is called The Importance of an Involved Father, and you'll see that on the slide here on the upper left. And that brochure actually condenses some of that data that I shared with you earlier about the importance of fathers into a very simple brochure that can be used with dads or moms to help them understand why it's important to involve dads. It gives them very simple, concrete action steps that they can take to better involve dad in the lives of his children. So I encourage you to check that out. But if you're working with new fathers or new mothers or parents who are struggling with co-parenting, we have a myriad of low-intensity resources that will provide you with the extra boost that you need for your program to involve those fathers. Now, beyond that, we go to what we consider medium-intensity resources. And these are things that are a bit more robust than your brochure or your tip card. So things like different PDF downloadable resources that you can use, such as our how-to guides that cover how to discipline your child, how to keep your child healthy, how to co-parent. And these are wonderful tools that you can download a PDF file, and you can use it over and over again. You can print it out and hand it out to dads. You can even give it to staff to review to help them gain more knowledge on a particular subject. And also on the slide, you'll see our critical issues guides, which really help you hone in on the most critical issues that there are to discuss with dads and moms about father involvement. Again, a really great staff resource to help your staff learn more about working with your family, so they're really equipped with that information they need when certain subjects come up. We also have some workshops that we call Father Topics Booster Sessions. They can be used on their own or with other curriculum. But by and large, medium intensity resources are something that they do require a little bit more staff investment, but they are wonderful resources that you can use over and over and hopefully to augment your program. And I just mentioned a little bit about the downloadable guides and their uses, and I wanted to list out for you on this next slide the different types of topics that we have, and I covered a couple of them. But we're really seeing quite an uptick in the use of these downloadable guides for staff development and for capacity building, because the topics and the information that's covered in here is really hard to find anywhere else in such a concise manner, and it really raises the awareness and increases the knowledge of the most important issues that staff need to discuss proactively and oftentimes repeatedly with different families and customers that they're serving. And so we're getting wonderful feedback from many organizations that they're using these in a way we actually hadn't seen coming, but we're so glad to see that our resources are flexible in that way, that they can be used with fathers or with staff. A couple of more pieces of information on our Father Topics Booster Sessions, which are part of the medium intensity resources. We have a very popular collection called the Father Topics Collection for Non-Custodial Dads, and that is used all by itself or sometimes in conjunction with other fatherhood curriculum, and that covers some of the most important topics that non-custodial dads need to address, such as workforce readiness, legal rights, access and visitation, and child support. And I know those are topics that you are addressing with customers every day and challenges that they may be facing in those areas. So I encourage you to look into that particular resource. And beyond that, there's a number of others regarding communication and co-parenting and helping mom understand how she can be a gateway to dad's involvement as opposed to a gatekeeper. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. And last but not least is our high-intensity resources. So our high-intensity resources are considered our fatherhood programs. And these are 8- and 12-week programs that you'll be hearing about from the community action agencies that join us later. Our flagship curriculum is 24/7 Dad. And hopefully you've heard of it, but if you haven't, I encourage you to check it out. It is an evidence-based fatherhood program that is used by organizations across the nation to engage fathers and help them understand what it means to be an involved father, and increases their skills and knowledge around fatherhood and their important role that they play in their children's lives. We also have a program for moms called Understanding Dad, which you will also hear from the other agencies a little later in the webinar. It's a program that's run with moms. It helps them become more aware of the importance of a father's involvement and also how to better communicate with him for the benefit of their children. And again, we want to hone back in on the benefits of the children. That is really our goal here. We're engaging fathers, we're engaging mothers around the father's role to really benefit those children, going back to that research that we saw earlier. So more on those curriculum programs to come. I wanted to include in the slides a couple of more slides that give you a deeper understanding of the curriculum. I won't go through each of them now, but I'd like you to refer back to these if you are considering one of our curriculum. This gives you a really great quick snapshot of the different programs. The one that I didn't mention on the previous slide that you see here is Inside Out Dad, and that is our evidence-based program that was designed specifically for incarcerated fathers. It is used by thousands of jails and prisons and Department of Prisons and Bureau of Prisons across the United States. It is a wonderful program that is targeted specifically for incarcerated fathers, and it's also used at times in a reentry setting. Moving on, you'll have some more information about Understanding Dad, which I mentioned earlier, as well as 7 Habits of a 24/7 Dad. That program is what we consider your short-length fatherhood program. So when 24/7 Dad is too long or too extensive for your needs, you should check out 7 Habits of a 24/7 Dad. We created that along with Franklin Covey and their popular and timeless 7 Habits theme. So it's really great to see the 24/7 Dad curriculum overlaid into that Franklin Covey format, so I encourage you to check that out. And in talking about curriculum and programs, I just want to take a pause and mention that it's important that you implement a program the way it's designed to be implemented. However, we want you to know that our curriculum is flexible, and it allows you to implement the program in whatever way works best for you. So if you're looking to implement the program with fidelity, then you would implement the entire full program as it is intended. But if you choose not to, it's still going to make an impact on your fathers and families. Fathers are completely changed after they go through 24/7 Dad programs, and they have a whole new meaning and a whole new drive in their lives for their children and what they want to accomplish in life. And you'd be surprised if you haven't already seen this with a father who understands his important role. He suddenly is able to and wants to keep a job and be financially strong and, you know, be a contributing member to society when he has this new infusion of life and excitement in him and in his heart for his children. It's just amazing the change you will see, and I think you'll hear that also from some of our other presenters today. Now, I can't move on without telling you about the hundreds of free resources that we also offer. Now, we do provide all of the for-purchase resources that I mentioned earlier, but we also have a free resource library on our store website. So in addition to those research-related free resources I shared earlier, we have quite a number of resources to help you learn more about the importance of father involvement. We have a number of on-demand webinars on a variety of topics that we encourage you to watch. Specifically, we have 2 that were extremely popular involving fathers in home visits, as well as what's mom got to do with it, father involvement, that is. And there's also a wonderful webinar on ways that you can apply some of the latest research to your work with fathers. So I encourage you to dig through there and find some resources that interest you. We've also got case studies and other inspirational videos and PSAs that you can use in your program. So tons of resources and also some tools and ebooks for dads. We have a very popular tool called the Countdown to Growing Up, and it allows fathers to enter information, some very brief information about their child and their age, and it helps him understand the different developmental milestones that that child will go through as the child is growing. And it also allows him to make some notes, and if there's anything he has questions about, he could even print those out and take them with him to their next child's doctor's appointment and say, hey, you know, I see that these are some developmental milestones that we're looking for in my child, and discuss that more, or any that the child is exceeding, or perhaps some that the child isn't meeting quite yet. And it really helps dad get engaged in his child's health care. So I encourage you to check out the Countdown to Growing Up free tool. So you could spend hours in the free resources section on our website, fatherhood.org, but I encourage you to go check it out and refer back to it often as a free resource. So at this time, I would like to go ahead and hand it over for our first agency spotlight to the folks from Community Action of Central Texas. We'll be hearing from Edith Rivera and David Bryant. So at this time, Cashin, I'll pass it over to them.
All right, Edith and David, you have live mics, so take it away.
Hi everybody. My name is Edith Rivera, and I'm the Involvement and Outreach Coordinator for the Head Start program and Texas Home Visiting Program with Community Action of Central Texas. I've been with the agency for 8 years, and my main passion and focus in this role is working with staff to encourage parent participation. As well as working with staff, I also work with parents to increase father participation and involving mom in her role with father involvement. And in this particular area, I do this primarily through the facilitation of NFI's Understanding Dad curriculum.
Good afternoon. My name is David Bryant. I am the Father Engagement Coordinator It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you all today. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm a father myself, and so I understand the importance of having an engaged father in the life of children. I've been with Community Action for around 10 years. One of the things I do is I oversee 8 home visitors that work with dads and finding creative ways to get dad to the table for home visits and other meetings. I facilitate the NFI 24/7 Dad program, and one thing I'm working on is helping our whole county become more father-friendly.
So Community Action was founded in October 2nd of 1965. Our mission is to develop opportunities for people and communities to realize their potential. And we do this through ensuring that all low-income men, women, and children have access to health care, also ensuring that low-income children will be given the opportunity to succeed in school and beyond, providing low-income families with the skills necessary to attain living wage jobs, also providing planning support, vision, and leadership to communities and their efforts to address the needs of low-income residents, and also position our agency as one of the most effective and innovative human service organizations in Central Texas.
So when it comes to father engagement, why father engagement? Why is that important for us here at Community Action? One reason is because research shows that when fathers are engaged and connected to their families, that the children are less likely to grow up in poverty. So as Community Action, our agency is a focus and provide services that help us to transition families out of poverty and become more self-sufficient. Our child outcomes, there was a singer that said, "I believe the children are our future." We want children to succeed, and research shows once again, when fathers and mothers are engaged in the life of the children, that children can reach their full potential. And finally, parent empowerment is very important for us, as we believe that parents are the child's first teachers. And so it's important giving dads the skills, and not only that, but the confidence to help teach his child in the everyday routines and activities in the child's life. Another reason why we believe that father engagement is important is because it's basically we're helping them become more aware of what they do, helping children become out of poverty and help them become more aware of what they do. And so you can advance the next slide, please. Awesome. One thing that we did back in 2012, we put on a Fatherhood Initiative event in 3 cities within our county. And so we wanted to, again, bring more awareness to fathers in general. And this was done around Father's Day. And so we partnered with the Housing Authority in 3 different cities. And so it was able to, just, again, bring other agencies to the table and highlight fathers and the important role that they play in their families.
Prior to the 15-16 school year, the Office of Head Start collected information from programs on the number of father-related activities that were provided and how many children were represented through father attendance. We looked at these numbers and our self-assessment results in the area of parent involvement and noticed that father engagement was not one of the program's primary focus. So we started working on this. To work towards staff buy-in, we first worked on providing training to staff around the importance of father involvement. We did this during our annual training period. We brought in a trainer, fatherhood specialist, to conduct training on why father involvement was so important and how program staff, and this is management, center directors, family advocates, and teachers, how we could all increase father involvement by improving the way we engage fathers. This led the program to become a little bit more creative when it comes to thinking about activities to do, and there was a greater focus in providing father-related activities. From this, in 2015, our program director was successful in applying and obtaining the Texas Home Visiting Grant. In the grant proposal, she placed a great emphasis on the father engagement area, and that included writing in David's position and also utilizing research-based curriculum that we will use with fathers in our program.
And so bringing things full circle today, we believe it's important to engage and bring awareness not only to parents, to staff, and the community. One way that we're engaging parents is through home visiting, involving dad and mom, again, when it comes to the education of their child and helping them to become school ready. Another thing that we're doing in the community is working and having our 24/7 dad group, which we'll go into a little bit more detail in the future. Second thing that we're doing, or third thing that we're doing, is we produce a monthly newsletter called Fathers Make a Difference. We give them to our clients that we serve, but also we circulate it around the community and around the county and region as well. One thing that we're also doing is we feel that it's very important to interact with the community. And so we go out and help communities become more father-friendly. be it through speaking with the criminal justice system or other social services. And we believe that it's important to bring father-friendliness to our community, because once our clients leave, our clients and families leave us, they're going to transition into the schools, they're going to transition into other social services. So we want to make sure not just what they're getting with us is good, but we want to make sure that we're preparing our clients to become more self-sufficient and advocate for themselves in the future.
And one of the areas that we wanted to focus on was the father engagement goals. So as advocates of father engagement, we understood that in order for our program to make steady steps towards maintaining father engagement as one of our program's main focus, we had to incorporate goals that were specific to father engagement. We did this in two ways. First, we identified goals that were specifically for fathers. Following the Office of Head Start's Parent, Family, and Community Engagement Framework, we identified areas that the program could focus on when it came to helping fathers reach family outcomes. The goals in them, we used language that identified fathers as the main focus on this goal. So, for example, we stated fathers are supported as opposed to families are supported. We also included indicators that measured the father's progress. Second, we identified goals for staff. It was important to ensure that not only we were developing goals and resources for fathers, but that we were also doing the same for the staff that will be helping fathers work towards these goals. For this, we identified professional development goals for staff based on specific goals identified for fathers. And of course, these goals are not set in stone. We have new sets of parents joining us at different times during the year. So one thing we ensured was to make sure that we were looking at our data regularly and adjusting our goals based on what the father's needs were, and ensuring that our goals were reflective of father needs as opposed to what the program thought fathers should get or what the program could provide.
And Edith also mentioned that our goals weren't set in stone, so it's important that as you have goals for your organization that you kind of go back to them and look at them. And so we were able to revise some strategic goals to make sure that we're engaging fathers more importantly. And one thing that we did was to kind of bring our senior leadership to the table and make sure that in our work with fathers that they're on board, that everyone in our organization, including our senior leadership, is on board and understanding the process of engaging fathers for the betterment of the whole family. And so with our mission once again for community action here in Central Texas is developing opportunities. And we want to make sure that included that included making sure that we're specific in reaching out to fathers. One thing that we were looking at is becoming more intentional with non-custodial fathers and also incarcerated fathers. Sometimes it's very easy, like, for example, if within our Head Start program or whatever it may be, if dad is not in the picture, mom says, well, dad's he's not here, he's in the other town, or we're divorced. Sometimes the easy thing is to do, okay, well, let's move on. But we want to make sure, again, looking back, the importance of the child. We want to make sure that the child grows up to reach their full potential. And if possible, mom and dad can be there involved in the child's life, and that's the best thing. So reaching out to that incarcerated father or reaching out to that non-custodial father that may be the next town over, be the letter, or just the next house over. So that's something that we were looking at as well as making sure that we're being intentional when it comes to that as also.
Also, when it came to our work with this, we did come up with different barriers that, when we try to implement our work. One of our biggest barriers were biases, and it was working around staff biases. Every person is going to base their approach to father engagement around their own personal experiences, be it good or bad. If they had a negative experience with their father or a father figure, this would, potentially seep into their work with fathers. Also, another thing was personal skills. For example, I personally suffer from this, and it's public speaking skills. There were times when, members of your team may know the importance of engaging fathers, may know the statistics and benefits of having father involved, yet the personal traits such as shyness and myself can stand in the way. So one of the things that did happen was how can we work around them? How can we work around these different barriers? and making sure that the work that we wanted to do, the approach that we wanted to come across when it came to father involvement, it did get carried out and did get stopped with these personal barriers. Also, when considering biases, we need to look at those that simply do not see the importance of father figure or father involvement. And this ranges from not seeing dad as an important figure. They maybe grew up with just mom, or dad really didn't do much in the family, so they just feel that dad's not really an important figure in the wellness of a child, or feeling that the special attention that dads are getting is not something that should be promoted. For example, why should we promote father involvement and not promote more mother involvement? So you do have those two different aspects when it comes to people knowing the importance of engaging fathers.
Another barrier that we ran up against with our clients and our families that we serve was also just a lack of education about the importance that fathers play when it comes to barriers with the families, and that stems, one, with staff, making sure that the staff understand the importance of the role of fathers, and that way they can communicate that to the families that we serve, but also helping fathers to understand that some stereotypical roles that have been within our society and our societal norms are changing. So dad may bring home the bacon, so to speak, and go home and plop in front of the TV and watch TV all day. But also dad can go home and lay on his stomach and have tummy time with his child. He can read, he can bathe his child, so forth, and that still makes him a father, and it even makes him a great father. Another barrier is just a difference in communication styles. It's been said that sometimes women are detail-oriented and men are headlines. And so sometimes in communicating, that can be a rift or a separation as far as in communication styles within the genders. Other things, sometimes when coming to the table, if dad is not picking up the child, be it at our Head Start Center or whatever it may be, if you're not having contact with dad, sometimes a message can be misconstrued. When tell dad this, or hey, can you tell dad that we're having an event today? Well, when it comes from mom, sometimes it can, bring up a whole lot of other things when, well, you're supposed to go to this, and the center says this. And so reaching out to dad personally, making that phone call, that text, that whatever it may be, I think that helps as well as far as overcoming the family barriers. And one more thing I wanted to add is maternal gatekeeping. That was mentioned before, but in a negative standpoint, maternal gatekeeping can be a mom punishing dad for whatever it may be. Well, you can't see your child today, using the child as a pawn because they're mad at dad. Another maternal gatekeeping example could be mom feels that dad is not equipped or cannot do things as well as she can, and so she might be well-intentioned. She might have good intentions by holding her child away from dad, but if dad has a great intention, if dad wants to try it, let dad try it. And if he fails, let him fail. He may not do it exactly the way mom does it, but guess what? He's trying, and that's okay. All right. So when it comes to the next slide, when it comes to establishing community connections, it's very important that you have someone who's passionate about what they're doing, passionate about the work in working with fathers and understanding, that there's an excitement and seeing a big picture. Again, going back to it's about the children. And when we can have mothers and fathers engaged and connected, then children win. So having someone who understands the big picture and the passion despite the little obstacles that may come up. Simply be willing to get out there and share your vision. One thing we did in 2015 in August is we were able to invite some community partners together to have a conversation about dad, about fathers, and to kind of get the ball rolling. So know that you're not by yourself. Know that you don't have to do it alone when you're doing it within your organization, but you can pull your community together so there can be a force behind it. And never give up. Be flexible. I mean, you may go in one time and have something in your hand, and they may tell you, no, you can't leave this here. No, I'm not ready to work with fathers. That's okay. Go on to the next organization or the next company. One thing that helped me was having something in my hand like a brochure, a newsletter. That way we can talk about fathers or inviting them to a father conversation. So don't give up. Be passionate about what you're doing because, as you know, fathers make a difference. And, again, in the life of the children, it's extremely important. Some examples that we have as far as in connecting, making community contacts is as far as the NFI has a great tool called the Father Friendly Checkup. We were able to send that out to our organizations here in our community in our county just to kind of help them get thinking. Am I father friendly, and what am I doing to either discourage or to attract fathers to our company? One organization that we worked here with in our county was WIC. women, infant, and children, and helping them. One, I went in there to just to kind of introduce myself and say, hey, look, WIC is a great organization and works around, nutrition for the community, and but we want to get the word out that it's not only for women. And they say, hey, yeah, David, that's great. Let's work together. And so just getting in there, not being afraid to walk in and introduce yourself and talk to the community. Something else that we did was we contacted the mayor. I mean, just kind of being in the community, going into some of the same circles and seeing the mayor at different meetings, we were able to invite the mayor out to our 24/7 Dad graduation, which, is, again, is an NFI product. Once we had a graduation, the mayor came out and proclaimed that the January 22nd was 2016 was Roberto Rangel 24/7 Dad Day in San Marcos, Texas, and so that was great. One thing that we also did was we were fortunate enough here in our county to bring 13 organizations together from December to May to have a conversation about putting on Celebrating the Fatherhood, a conference organized by Central Texas agencies. Like I said, we brought 13 organizations together, great speakers, and we were able to impact over 50 families' lives here this May 28th in our community to help fathers feel celebrated, to help them know, guess what, Dad? Father's Day is great, but you should be honored more than Father's Day. And finally, we were able to work with other agencies and actually the libraries and different entities to bring the ABCs of Fatherhood, one workshop that we do, Make Believe with Dad. Actually, we're getting ready to do that in a couple of weeks at the local library. And also partnering with different other events, different fairs going on. We have a fair that we're attending on this coming Sunday. Just getting the word out that fathers make a difference. Fathers are important, so not being afraid to step out in the community. Next slide, please.
Here on the presentation, interjecting so far here on the presentation with David and Edith. Thank you so much for all that information. We did want to bring in a couple of the curriculum that they are using in their agency. Giving you a program description and format of 24/7 Dad, just to give you a little bit more information on that. It does cover universal aspects of fatherhood, and it follows a consistent format for 12 weeks. And ideally, you would run it as 1 2-hour session per week, because the format does generate weekly patterns of learning that build upon one another, and fathers can predict what's coming next. We did also mention earlier, though, you can customize this program and use it how you see fit for your organization, so I just want to remind you of that. There's some other information on the slide you can refer back to. But moving on, as I mentioned earlier, 24/7 Dad is an evidence-based curriculum, and it does teach men those characteristics they need to be good fathers 24/7, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. So you'll hear us say we're looking for dads to be 24/7 dads. We want them to be there for their children as much as they possibly can. And the great news is that research shows that the 24/7 Dad program does successfully change fathers' attitudes, knowledge, and skills around fatherhood. Our curriculum kits come with surveys, a pre- and post-survey for the fatherhood program, so that you can personally follow the results of the fathers that have attended your program. So I'll pass it over to David or Edith to share a little bit about how they have incorporated the 24/7 Dad program into their organization.
Thank you, Melissa. We love working with the 24/7 Dad program. I happen to facilitate that program in Kyle, San Marcos, Texas. We implemented among the high schools, 3 high schools with our teen fathers. One of our youngest fathers that we serve is at 14. And we also do it in the evenings with just regular adult fathers as well. We've been implementing 24/7 Dad since October 2015, so we've had a great time with it. I myself am a dad, and I've learned so much from just the things that we facilitated, and also learning from the fathers in the group as well. One reason that we were interested in it because it was an evidence-based curriculum that would help address our low father participation. And it was also able to provide a way to empower dads in their roles as fathers. And it challenges fathers just to kind of step up and be the dad that they want to be. You know, one thing I like about it is that we challenge the fathers, what am I learning? I'm spending time here an hour or two out of my day, and what am I taking back to my family that I can implement now? And one thing the fathers that said from our graduations that we had, the fathers that completed the course, they were able to refer back to the handbook. Even when they get in a pickle or bind or they're having arguments, they can go back to the handbook and say, okay, this is how I need to handle it. This is what I need to do. These are some goals I put so I can address this situation. So it's a great curriculum. We enjoy using it.
Okay, thank you, David. Next, we just wanted to go over the Understanding Dad program briefly. I've provided you here a program description and format, but as I mentioned earlier, this is a unique program specifically for moms. It's an awareness and communication program that helps moms strengthen the relationship with the father of their children for the benefit of their children. In a similar fashion, the format generates these weekly patterns so mothers can know what to expect, and that they do build on each other. This is an eight-week program, with two to 3 hour sessions each time. Now, we have learned that because many times mothers are, maybe a little more talkative than fathers, you might want to leave those, allow 3 hours for the discussions, because once folks open up and start to talk, those conversations can get really deep and really good and really helpful. And so you want to make sure that you allow enough time, and that's some feedback we've received from facilitators and moms during a pilot study and evaluation of the Understanding Dad program. So Understanding Dad is that unique program that helps moms improve the relationships they have with their fathers. And you can learn more about the curriculum on our website, and you have the information there. But I'll pass it over back to Edith to share a little bit about how they're using Understanding Dad in their organization.
Thank you, Melissa. Yes, with Understanding Dad, we are facilitating programs both in Kyle, San Marcos, Lockhart, and Luling. And we just started the sessions this past January. And we started off first with teen moms, and then we also started doing sessions with adult moms. We really enjoyed this curriculum because we wanted to use something that really addressed maternal gatekeeping. In the sense that it improved the communication between mom and dad. As opposed to focusing on the romantic relationship, we wanted to focus on something that will improve communication and, in that sense, improve the relationship that they have with their child. This curriculum is full circle, and with that I mean that it's not just about mom's relationship with dad, it's also mom's relationship with her own father and her own mom, and how their relationship affected her communication style and how it could be improved to have a better relationship with dads. And moms love it. They left the sessions really enjoying that they were able to see the different communication styles, how that affected parenting, and how that affected, after all, the perspective that they have a dad and their ability to be part of the child's life.
Great. So the next couple of things we'd like to discuss are some supplemental resources and training that the Community Action of Central Texas has used. On this slide, you'll see some information about a couple of our certificate trainings. These are really what you would consider professional development opportunities for you or your staff who are working with fathers and families to really improve your knowledge around father engagement and also effective facilitation. So we have two certificates. One is called Father Engagement Certificate, and one is called the Effective Facilitation Certificate. What's unique about these is that these are on-demand online trainings, which means that once you purchase access to these programs, you go through them at your own pace through our website. So you can see here the different subjects that are covered, but for our Father Engagement Certificate, it really gives you robust understanding and knowledge around 5 core competencies for effective father engagement. And again, these are video-based training sessions that you access on our website. As far as the Effective Facilitation Certificate goes, this is for experienced or new facilitators to really help you get more skills and understandings of an excellent fatherhood program facilitator. There are 3 parts to this one. Again, it's online, video-based, and it really gives you a robust understanding of the characteristics of a great facilitator, how to prepare properly for the sessions, and even learn about some different learning styles that you'll experience when you work with fathers in a fatherhood program. So I'll hand it back over to Community Action of Central Texas to share a little bit about why they chose to earn these 2 certificates.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, as far as the Father Engagement Certificate, one reason that I thought it was very well done, and being new to the role, just kind of wanted to learn what it takes to effectively engage fathers and have a successful program. I really enjoyed it because I learned that it's important not just to have a goal of engaging dads. Yes, that's a great goal to have, but how are you going to walk that out? What are we going to do? And learning that you need to have a plan to bring it to pass, especially when it comes down to program design. And one of my favorite parts about the engagement certificate was the 7 best practices. It kind of helped us fine-tune some things about our agency and to help to get the program off the ground and to make certain adjustments. And this training can be given to other community actions to help engage fathers in the community with the help of the community. Again, that I want to stress, in the community, engaging fathers in the community, but with the help of the community as well, so you're not by yourself.
And also when it comes to the Effective Facilitation Certificate, both David and I received this certificate as well. And it was a great way to learn new strategies about becoming a better facilitator. It gives you the tools to learning the type of facilitator that you are, and also how to build up on skills that you're probably lacking of. The training has made us better facilitators both for the fathers and mothers that we serve. Also, it helped us, as opposed to participants adapting to our style of delivering the material, it helped us learn how we needed to adapt our style based on the learning style of the participants. It's very comprehensive, and then also you have tools, as I mentioned, to learn your personal facilitation skills and other strategies such as room setup and then other things that you need to provide in order to make it a really good learning environment for those that are attending. Also, some of the resources that we have used from NFI is Mom as Gateway, as Melissa mentioned earlier. This is a great resource when you're trying to get the conversation going around maternal gatekeeping and how you can encourage moms to, instead of being a gatekeeper, becoming a gateway. So it helps in breaking down those barriers between mothers and fathers. We have used this in training workshops. Most recently, we used it at our Celebrating Fatherhood conference, and this is a session that we use with moms. And also, it's very comprehensive. Just as the other curriculums available, they give you the procedures for before you start the session, materials that you need, what you need to deliver, and also it provides any of the handouts to pass out to mom. So the information was, really relatable to what mom needed to hear for becoming a mom as a gateway.
And also one thing about that is it helps that as mom is going through understand the gateway, mom as a gateway, while dad is going through 24/7 dad, it really helps complement one another. That way when dad goes back home to try some of the new things, mom is ready, and she's ready to let dad take the reins, so to speak, in the development of their children.
Another resource that we used was the 14 critical issues to discuss with moms. As Melissa mentioned earlier, us women love to talk, so usually during the Understanding Mom sessions, the conversations, if something reminded somebody of something that happened in the past, that conversation came up, and everybody wanted to either give their opinion about it or give their advice. So this was a great way to kind of get the conversations back on track. If there are any of the issues related to here is regarding communication, is regarding parenting. So when these things will come up, I resorted back to this guide to help me guide the questions. So it gives you the information regarding the different issues. It gives you the reflective questions to ask mom. So as opposed to it becoming a venting session, it is really something productive that we bring it back to discussion and also bring it back to the Understanding That curriculum. We're planning, David and I's goal is to start implementing and many of these curriculums and guides that we're using into what our family advocates and home visitors are using on our personal basis with our families. So this will be used when they are meeting with mom and when they are seeing that mom is having an issue either letting dad into the picture or even letting dad be more part of the parenting, be part more of what is being done with the child. They may be living together, but sometimes mom is just hesitant of maybe allowing the relationship to flourish a little bit more and him being part of the parenting tasks of every day. So this is what we will be using in the upcoming school years.
Great. Well, thank you so much, David and Edith, for sharing your experience with our programs. I know that was a lot of information that they both just shared, and I encourage you to reflect back on the slides that covered the information because they're making a huge impact in their community and in their organization with their staff and their families for father involvement. So now I'd like to pass it over to David Case. David is from Mid-Iowa Community Action, and David actually uses both the 24/7 Dad and Understanding Dad programs. So now that you have a basis of knowledge about the structure of those programs and the format, we won't go over that information. We'll just let David proceed with information about how he uses the NFI programs to engage fathers. David?
Thanks, Melissa. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay.
Yes.
Appreciate you letting me be on an invitation. As far as a little background is I actually began my career at the YMCA, and I've been now with Mid-Iowa Community Action for 15 years, and the SPSC coordinator now going on our 5th year. We do, as Melissa mentioned, do offer both the 24/7 Dad, Understanding Dad, as well as preps within our reach, as well as preps within my reach as well. So we do offer all of the programs are, as you see listed. Next slide. A little bit about Mid-Iowa Community Action, some history there. We were established in 1965. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary. We do provide a lot of different programs. We have about over 40 different programs for low-income families in our community. We serve 5 major counties. We're known for our Head Start Family Development program, our LIHEAP, weatherization, our WIC programs. And so for our Strong Parents, Strong Children, we focused on our 3 major counties, and then we've now extended to all 5 of our core counties. And what that means is that we actually have a Family Development Resource Center in each one of those 5 counties. Our agency actually serves over 200,000 individuals per year. One of the things that we did notice at the onset was that with all of our programs, one thing that was missing, we weren't really engaging fathers. We were offering parenting and programs for parents to come out, but we were obviously seeing a lot of moms, but not dads. So really the father engagement was kind of a hit or miss. Sometimes we'd get people, sometimes we wouldn't, but we had nothing really consistent. So we knew that we wanted to make sure to, if we're focusing on our mission correctly, is to try to involve the entire family. So we decided to offer the fatherhood program. We received a federal grant. It was a 3-year grant. We actually got the 4th year extended, but we do not have that grant anymore. So one thing that did is that we had a team of 8. Now that team of 8 is now a team of me. And sometimes that happens in agencies when you're funded that way. So, but we did decide that our Fatherhood Initiative was something that we did want to continue. We wanted to keep the core of that program going, and so we found ways in order to do that. But one of the things that you really need to do is that our fatherhood program is an important part of our agency, and in order to do that, if we're truly a mission-driven agency, we want to make sure to include that in our strategic plan, and it is now. So how we've continued our funding for that is that it does come from foundation grants. We have corporate grants. We just received an Alliant Energy grant, as well as MICA did make it a part of their annual budget as well. First thing I encourage agencies to do is that you've got to look internally before you look externally, and you've got to have buy-in from the top down. And it's got to start with your board of directors and your main directors, and then take it down to your staff also. But in order to internalize that, obviously once it's in your strategic plan, you have to help staff understand why fathers are important. Then you also want to make sure that you understand that if you're a coordinator for a program, you can't do this on your own. You've got to have buy-in. You've got to have everybody singing from that same hymnal. And then one thing that we actually do is that we track how dads hear about our program. And then once I find out about that, then I send a little note or a phone call or an email, something just that says thank you, for referring this dad, because the more people that you have out there talking about what you're doing, the more success that you're going to have about getting people through the door. We do train frontline staff so that workers do see the families, point them to our program. And so we have a new staff orientation called MICA 101, where staff are educated about all of our programs, including our Strong Parents, Strong Children program. We do workshops right now before the school year starts with all of our Head Start teachers. We actually do training for them. And in those trainings, people aren't going to retain just the information they hear from you. So I actually do part of the classes for those trainings. I actually have them get up and I have them do some of the interactive type of activities that we do inside the 24/7 Dad or the Understanding Dad classes or even the relationship classes. And they find that they retain that a lot better because now they can actually go out there and say, you know what, I've actually done part of the class. And it is a lot of fun. It's really engaging. And I really encourage you to try it out. But we do constantly make it fun, and I think that's a big part of it. Just like the classes, if dad or mom or the couples aren't having a good time with it, then they're not going to stay in that program. So we've really customized our classes in order to do that. Even we go out into our county team meetings to talk about the Fatherhood Initiative, and so there's a lot of different ways, any types of trainings that we can get involved in or any type of meetings that people have, or even if it's just 10, 15 minutes to let people know about what we're doing, we're always involved in all the counties. We've offered the 24/7 Dad program the last 4 years. We have the majority of our dads do come directly from all of our programs, as well as we do have a relationship with the Halfway House. And the Halfway House is basically after a dad has been incarcerated, before they go out to the community, we go over there and we tell them about our program and how they can reconnect with their children. But we also get referrals from DHS, the juvenile courts, the therapists from Center Associates, and also the YMCA, just to name a few. But we feel that a strong community focus on Fatherhood Initiative really helps us, and again, the more people that are telling folks about what we're doing, the better off we're going to be. We chose the 24/7 Dad program. It's really kind of an easy choice for us because it was threefold on three major factors on why we chose the 24/7 Dad curriculum. Is that the first thing is it did include an evaluation tool. It has a questionnaire that allows the facilitator to measure change in dads as a result of participating in the program. And then the second thing is the program does include a component in regard to fatherhood relationship with mom, and we thought that was also another important part of it. And the last one is that, I don't think it's been mentioned yet, but is that the curriculum is also involved in Spanish as well. And so with Marshall County, we have a large group of the people in our county are Hispanic speaking. So in order to have classes both in English and Spanish was a huge need for us. I think that one of the best parts about the 24/7 Dad program is seeing breakthroughs in dad, and it's also the relationships that people, once they graduate from the program, they establish those relationships with other people. They want to keep coming back, and also the certificates. I mean, some of these dads have never received any type of reward or anything before, and so they really like just to receive. You know, it sounds really simple, you know, to somebody, but for some folks that really does mean a lot. One thing that I do want to that we looked at too is that the incentives that we give to dads is, as Melissa stated, they do have some of those low-intensity resources. We do give those out on a regular basis. We always give something out to the dads in the classes. We also have parent magazines that we give out. At the end of the class, we do provide a Walmart gift card. And with dads, you got to feed them. And we provide food. We have snacks, water, juices, stuff like that. And so it sounds something really little, but sometimes when you feed people, they're going to come. And so we find that in our special events that we do too, that if you have food out there, if you got some barbecue and you get these things donated from folks, it really does help. We also want to look at how to get more dads involved is to break any barriers. So we actually do provide transportation if it's needed with one of our MICA vehicles. We do reimburse for gas if they're coming from another town. And we also do reimburse for child care as well. So if they have to have somebody to watch the kiddos, we do reimburse right there after the class for child care. And all of those have been very much appreciated by the folks in our classes. how do we recruit dads? There's a lot of different ways, but I'll just kind of highlight a few of those. Is that, as I mentioned, we do have a relationship with the Halfway House. We recruit by word of mouth as well as through moms enrolled in other programs. I honestly, after our relationship classes, I do get a lot of dads that realize, hey, you know what, taking a class is actually kind of fun. And so after they take the relationship class, I usually get about 70 to 75% of those dads enrolled in my 24/7 dad class. We do invite dads involved in the other MICA programs as well. So it's not just our program, but we feel that our fatherhood program has to stretch and connect with all of our programs in our agency. We do offer one large father-child event each year. As David mentioned, they do stuff on Father's Day. We do as well. But then we also do quarterly Fatherhood Initiative events that are actually planned by our Volunteer Fatherhood Committee. And again, you can't do it all on your own. So having a Volunteer Fatherhood Committee that meets on a monthly basis and usually they have to be a graduate of the 24/7 Dad program in order to be on the Fatherhood Committee. And we actually have a member on our Fatherhood Committee that's on our board of directors. And so again, it starts top down, but they're always hearing about fathers and dads and the importance of it. We do recruit. We always set up tables, things like health fairs, summer reading programs, library events, any community resource event out there, our WIC clinics. We're always putting up tables and passing out information, brochures. We literally put the books out there as well if people want to look through them and find out more about the classes. And then we're always involved in community trainings. We do those with our Child Support Recovery Unit, any nonprofit groups, DHS, the juvenile courts, the school system. We have a wonderful relationship with Meskwaki, the Indian reservation that we have here, and we actually do classes over at Meskwaki too, and that's been a wonderful partnership for us. One of the things, the POP program for us is the Parental Obligation Pilot Program. It's kind of unique for us, and we've got a partner with the Des Moines YMCA, the Child Support Recovery Unit, DHS, and so what that is that once dad graduates from the 24/7 dad program, that starts the clock. And so if they owe back child support to the state of Iowa, not owed to mom, but owed to the state of Iowa, if they keep current on that child support payment, after 6 months, they will forgive 30%. At the end of 1 year, they will forgive 50% of that debt. And then if they maintain child support payments to mom, again, after they've graduated the 24/7 dad class, after 2 years, they actually forgive up to 80% of the back child support owed to the state of Iowa. I just had a dad 2 weeks ago that came in and had forgiven over $4,000 in back child support that was owed to the state of Iowa. Next slide, please. We do offer our Understanding Dad. This is something that's new to us. We just started this because a lot of times dads would go back in and moms would ask, hey, what about us? We're kind of interested in a parenting program too. And you know, my husband or my boyfriend comes home and he's got all these, great tips on discipline and handling stress and all these type of things. I want to do it. Well, we were handcuffed by the federal grant. We weren't able to offer and extend that out to moms, but now that we're not handcuffed to it, we're able to extend into all 5 counties and also offer a program for mom. And we've really enjoyed, like I said, we are now in our 4th class of the Understanding Dad program. And we do also customize this too. We have a relationship with the YMCA, so we actually do what's called a body transformation and 24/7 dad program. So after the class is over, we do a workout. And so they actually get assigned with like a personal trainer because a lot of times our dads really enjoy that health and wellness component of the course, and so we kind of extend that. But the Understanding Dad, the best part about that, again, is breaking down barriers. And the biggest thing I see with that is communication. How can I communicate more effectively with my significant other for the good of the kids? And I think all my moms, they exchange recipes, they exchange phone numbers, they have outings together. And that's one of the great things about it is a lot of these people don't have that really close friend. And sometimes just taking this class offers that friendship, too, that they can bounce ideas off of. Melissa and staff asked me to share just a couple success stories, and one of the things that we do recognize is at our annual meeting is we do a family success award, and so I always want to make sure to recognize some of the men and the dads that have gone above and beyond. And so example here is this gentleman here, we'll call him John, is enrolled in our SPSC program last year, and he was somebody who did come from the halfway house. He was remarried, had 2 daughters, and he wanted to really improve his relationship not only with the significant other but also with his daughters as well. He was somebody he came in, again, he was incarcerated, and he didn't have a job, and so we took him in, we designed a resume for him, we helped him attain a job, and also go back to school as well. And so now he's actually employed in 2 different places. He is a full-time college student. He's on the honor roll as well. He did get remarried. It was his girlfriend at the time taking the class, but he did get remarried in that. And he's also now a member of our volunteer fatherhood committee as well. And he volunteers his time as much as he can in all of our special events too. And then the other one was we had a mom that came in, and we'll call her Jasmine, and she just recently enrolled in February of 2015, and she was really on the brink of actually giving up on her relationship, and she was very frustrated. She's a very, very young mom, just out of high school, and so with this individual, one thing for her was that she really wanted to be a good mom, but she had a lot of barriers that she felt that kind of hindered that, and she didn't have a very strong relationship with her boyfriend at the time. And so she started with the Understanding Dad. They both took the couples class, and they're really thriving now. And this individual was a graduate of our Understanding Dad class. They did move into a house, and she talked to her significant other, and I did a home visit. We do home visits also with them, and they ended up taking the healthy relationship class, and so they've actually even set a wedding date for November of this year too. So we're very, again, we see these all the time, and there's no better way, especially you go out in the community and you're trying to let people know about it. I even bring these people with me, and they take 5 or 10 minutes to tell their story, and that really is impactful, I think, too.
Wow. Thanks so much for sharing with us, David. Those are some great success stories, and what a wonderful tip to take some of those folks with you to the events you go to talk with others, so it's not just coming from you. That's a really excellent tip. Thank you for sharing that. Well, we're coming down to the end of the session here, so before we move on, I wanted to share a couple of important things with you. In all of this information today, I'll take you back to what I said in the beginning of our webinar, which is think about this through the lens of what you can do now and what you might aspire to do in your agency in the near future. You can always start small, but do something to engage fathers. That's what I'm here to tell you today. So on this slide here, you'll see a number of ways to get started. If you go to the fatherhood.org website and find the page at the top called Getting Started, you'll find a variety of resources there that will really help you delve into this idea of father involvement and engaging fathers. We saw the free statistics and the infographic earlier. We also have a free father-friendly checkup. This is a very popular tool that helps you assess how well your organization encourages or doesn't encourage father involvement in the activities and programs that you offer. So I highly encourage you to download that and take it yourself, but also share it with other staff in your organization. We've got a number of other free resources there that are helpful, including 7 steps to starting a fatherhood program, and also a great free ebook called The Benefits of Fatherhood Programs in Community-Based Organizations. And again, this gives you more information, more background, and more of a robust understanding of why father engagement is so important inside of community organizations like yourself. So we have everything you could ever need to educate yourselves and your staff and your colleagues on the importance of fathers. Now, I'd like to also briefly mention we've just rolled out a brand new program. We're announcing it tomorrow. So those of you who already use the NFI curriculum programs, you're eligible for this. And those of you who might choose to use one of NFI's programs in the future, such as 24/7 Dad or Understanding Dad that we mentioned here, we launched what's called the Give Back program. And this is actually a savings program for you to be able to save on everyday significant expenses that occur in your organization every day. So these aren't expenses related necessarily only to your fatherhood program, although they could be, but anything like office supplies or equipment or things you use to run your organization. This program gives you discounts on those things, and it's just a free benefit to you as a thank you for being a partner with NFI and helping involve fathers and engage them in their children's lives. So feel free to learn more about that in your own time. So with that, I do want to thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us here today. I do want to address any questions that we have, but my contact information is on the slide, and also if you're interested in ordering resources, you can contact our Resource Center Manager directly, Jacqueline Hannon, and her contact information is there. Now, I didn't forget that I did tell you in the beginning of the slides that we had a special announcement for those of you who are on. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor for any questions that anyone has that we can address.
Sure, so this is Cashin from the partnership, and thank you. We do have several that have come in, and another thank you for those that have stuck with us as we are had so much good information that we're taking all of our time plus a few minutes this afternoon. So I have unmuted all of our speakers, so that way you can all jump in. The first question up here is, someone noted that they had attended a fatherhood conference planning meeting and noticed that there were little to no men present. They hear how important it is for fathers to see fathers speaking about fatherhood, but what do you do if you seem to kind of lack that leadership on the ground?
I will defer to the folks from the agencies because I think they're in a great place to talk to them.
Sure, whether Micah or Central Texas, either one wants to jump in?
If I can jump in really quick. We ran through the same problem. We were majority all-female staff here with the Head Start program prior to getting the Texas Home Visiting program. So that was one of the concerns that we had of how will we address father engagement when there were limited number of male staff on board. Luckily, we were able to get David on board. However, one of the things that was recommended to us was to use our own dads. Dads that have gone through our program and use them as advocates for what the message that we're trying to get across. So when you are when you don't have any men on board, then it will be of using your own dads to help you. Also, it will be of help of working with your leadership team and talking to them about the importance of having that father engagement position in your agency. Again, we were very, very lucky to have this grant and bring David on board, and he has been amazing in not only promoting the importance of father engagement, but also having talked and getting a lot of people on board that weren't on board at first when it was majority females talking about father engagement. So it does help to have a male person talking about or leading the father engagement initiative.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. Go ahead.
One thing to just add to that is that, it's a lot about relationship building. And with the connections, especially, again, we having somebody on the board of directors and on down and actually taking these people with you, they like to do that. They actually can't wait till the next time they can go out with you and talk about it because it empowers them as well in their community. And you're really helping them as well, but it's also just, rather than just hearing somebody talk, it's a lot better, one, to hear it from someone who's actually gone through it and lived it and how it's improved them.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Great. So I'm going to kind of skip around with the questions just because I think this one kind of can piggyback off of that a little bit. Any ideas, thoughts, feedback on how participants respond to having women facilitate their fatherhood curriculum?
Well, I can answer that off the bat and say that anyone can facilitate a fatherhood program or a fatherhood curriculum. We even go as far as to suggest you consider having 2 facilitators for your program, 1 male, 1 female. Men and women each bring different perspectives to the fatherhood issue and to fathers themselves. And all of us had a father at some point in our lives, whether we had a great relationship or unfortunately not so much. But women can bring a lot to programs, and there are hundreds of women who are facilitating fatherhood programs across the nation. And really, it comes down to the skills that that facilitator has, and really being a wonderful facilitator and engaging that audience and also building that trust with them is really what's key, more so than whether it's a male or female. And that would be my feedback on that.
Great. So moving on, next up, have you seen any differences in the impact of your programs and curricula in urban versus rural communities, or with like the African American community specifically, and any differences you see among those?
I'll jump in and take it.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, with us, we're kind of outside of a large metropolitan area as being Austin and San Antonio. We're right in the middle, just in the rural area. And I think one, it deals with knowing your population, knowing the demographics of who you're dealing with, or the fathers that you're working with, and the fathers that you're targeting, but also just kind of not being afraid to have those small groups. If it's just 1 or 2 or 3 fathers, I mean, getting the ball rolling, like David was saying, you know, once you get these successes going and having them talk about it, having them spread the word, but just your approach, being confident in the material, and also the incentives, bringing people to the table to kind of value their time, because they are taking time away from their families and out of their schedule. Value their time, and again, being passionate and being flexible about the results that you're looking for, and being willing to go at it. So I think across any demographic line, being intentional and targeting the exact population you're going after.
And I'll just add to that the 24/7 Dad program and the AM and PM are intended for dads of all race, religion, background, demographic. Really, the key components of being a great father doesn't have any particular color. And being a great dad can be achieved by anyone who is a father. So we really bring that to our curriculum to ensure that it does resonate with a wide variety of fathers, even of fathers of different ages, whether you're working with teen fathers or fathers that are in their 20s. The basics of how to be a great father, looking at your own family history, and then what you can do in your current role as a father to be a good dad, it crosses all lines.
Great. So again, skipping around a little bit, so sorry for those that got the questions in early, but I'm trying to kind of see how they can piggyback here. You mentioned the 24/7 Dad program, and someone asked, are there any differences between the AM and PM versions?
Yes, absolutely. So the 24/7 Dad AM program is really ideal for fathers who haven't been through a fatherhood program before. So it focuses on key characteristics of fathering, such as family history, what it means to be a man, men's health, communication, all of those different topics that are really important for fathers who probably haven't, heard about these types of fatherhood-related topics in the past. 24/7 Dad PM is often run following the AM sessions as a second round of sessions that dads can go through. And 24/7 Dad PM really delves into more advanced fathering topics, and those are things like dealing with anger and knowing my self-worth and knowing myself, also power and control, as well as sex, love, and relationships. So it gets into some deeper fathering subjects. And so ideally, but it's not required, ideally fathers have already gone through some other sort of fatherhood program prior to going through 24/7 Dad PM, because it does deal with those more advanced topics.
Great. All right. I have a feeling this one is directed at Mid-Iowa. Someone was asking, with your programs, do you get referrals directly from the Department of Justice or the Bureau of Prisons to recruit and engage fathers?
Yes, we do. Actually, we go out and do trainings for staff. They'll have like team meetings in the juvenile court system, and we go out and train those folks and let them know about our program. And so, again, it is voluntary. It's not something they have to do. Now, sometimes the courts will say you do need to take some type of parenting course, and so we are on that list of certified agencies in order to offer a parenting course for them.
Melissa, this looks like you kind of a technical question about the curriculum. So someone was noting that if they were to pay for the online father engagement certificate, are the 5 videos only available online, and how would they train staff at different times or new staff that come on?
Okay, understood. So the Father Engagement Certificate and the Effective Facilitation Certificate are individual certificates. So each staff person or each individual who wants to earn the certificate would acquire that from us through our website or giving us a call at our resource center. And it is a per person fee for that. It is affordable at $199. And you would just purchase however many of those that you need as the staff come on so that they can each individually go through it on their own. So they will have a login to the site, we will have a record of them participating, and then we will be able to have a record of them taking the short exam to earn their certificate. So each individual staff person does need to acquire access to that, and so you can purchase those in bulk. So let's say you wanted to buy 5 right away and give us those staff people's information, you can. Or as time goes on, maybe you get 2 now, and as you hire other staff, those staff can acquire it and take those classes on their own schedule in the future.
Okay. All right. Next up, how would you deal with situations where mothers contend that they are, in fact, both the mother and the father in their situation? Anything that you've seen in on the ground working through that?
With that, I would recommend to really staying where, meeting mom where she's at. I did have some moms that attended the session not really knowing what it was about. So at the first session, it was a lot of I do everything. I am both mom and dad at the same time. So it's not forcing the information to them, so I knew that she wasn't ready for the Understanding Dad curriculum. However, with her, it was really using the critical issues guide and really talking to her about reflective questions around her situation, why really dad is not in the picture, and really getting from her if it's really for safety, if it's something that's just preventing dad from not being close to his children, like he's is not, something not safe for the children, or if it's really regarding the relationship, or it's something else. So really targeting that before really working towards anything else, it's the best option. I did learn from providing the sessions that you don't want to carry on the curriculum with moms that are not ready for it, because it's not anything that you talk to them is not going to really sink it, and they're not going to be able to take on the lessons that we're trying to get to them. So it is of using the other resources available and giving them time, but not letting it go by. Like David mentioned it before, just saying, oh, well, that's not in the picture. Okay, well, we're just going to stick with this, and we're not going to pay attention that, we want that to be part of the child's life as well. So not letting it go, but just really working with mom to get to a comfortable place and for her to be placing the pace in that.
I also want to add on to that, if I may. We did a community workshop also at the library, and by the way, great information, Edith. We did a community workshop at the library where there was 2 moms, that married couple, and they were moms, that's, of course, the day and late age that we're living in, and there wasn't a dad in the picture. And so I just was able to let them know, okay, well, this is your situation, of course, but the research still shows, going back to the research when fathers are involved, that children do well. So what father figure can be is in the picture. Is it a grandpa? Is it an uncle? I mean, having that child also still see or be able to have a positive male role model in the life that does help the child do better. So kind of also understanding the situation where they were at, and also being able to refer back to research, educating that particular family, then also looking deeper. Is there anybody else involved? Yeah, you're in a relationship, great. Also, is there a grandpa or is there an uncle or a pastor or a coach that can also display some things that this young child or female may need?
Great, thanks. And another thanks again for Central Texas and Mid-Iowa, as well as here at the National Fatherhood Initiative for sticking with us. I'm going to do one last kind of closing question, but want to encourage everybody that is still with us and listening on the line. If you have questions that come up, please don't hesitate. Melissa's information is up on the screen, and or you can reach out to the Community Action Partnership, and we will try to route your question in the right way. So, last question that you might have a couple of different people weigh in on. Someone was concerned about fathers with exclusive custody and what sort of resources, curriculum and programs, and best practices are out there for working with single dads.
Well, I'll start from an NFI standpoint. Our resources aren't necessarily targeted specifically at challenges a single father may face, but at the same time, a single father will face challenges that any other father would face around disciplining his child, helping keep his child healthy, co-parenting potentially with the mother of the child. And so therefore, many of our resources would be wonderful and are very applicable to a single father to help him learn and improve his skills around being a father. But I would also defer to the other folks on the phone for what they can say on that.
I do rarely get that where dad has the primary custody, and I'm seeing more and more dads actually have that. And so one thing that we want to make sure to do is what kind of support systems do they have in place, that can actually help them. Not only, taking the class, but what's next, what's outside the class, whether it's, it could be somebody who's working with them in it could be a church group, it could be a family member, it could be, like you said, a grandparent, it could be somebody inside their family. It could be somebody else who also can provide them some type of support. And so we do get more and more, it seems. I think I started with maybe 3 or 4 dads, and today I would say 8 to 10 dads a year that come through our program are single parents raising their kids on their own. And one of the things about the NFI curriculum, the 24/7 Dad program, it talks about the roles of dad and how they've changed over time, and what are some things available out there to them to help educate them to be prepared for that.
Thanks. And anything from Central Texas that you would want to add on the single dads?
And the only thing David K. said it very well, just having that support system and being able to be there for the single fathers, because like Melissa was saying, the curriculum, it does cover a lot of things that single fathers will go through, fathers in general. So just having that so I echo what David said, so very well said, sir.
Great, thanks. So that kind of works through our question pool here. Like I said, do reach out with anything that comes up while you kind of digest all of the information that we threw at you. Are there any closing thoughts from any of our speakers before we shut down for today?
I would just say, as I mentioned earlier, start somewhere and do something. It doesn't have to be a huge program or a curriculum if you're not quite ready for that, but start thinking about how you can involve fathers in children's lives, because the research shows how much it will help them, and we really want to see, along with you, as you do, children and families just flourishing and really improving the well-being of children.
All right, with that, thank you again, Melissa, for bringing all of these great resources to the table and to the Community Action Network, and again to Central Texas and to Mid-Iowa for sharing your stories, your perspectives, how this really does work on the ground. So have a fantastic rest of your afternoon. We will be putting up slides and a recording tomorrow, so be on the lookout for your email. I will send out a notice of where and that is available and when that is up. So with that, have a great afternoon, and thank you very much for your time today.